when you go through film school, you are, you know, in your community of film students in film school, and often the friends that you make in film school, if you're male, are the people that you move forward with as you move into the industry. And the guys get together and they help each other out and so forth, and help give each other jobs, and this happens often. There are you know, huge groups of amazing filmmakers throughout history who, you know, did it that way. As a woman graduating from film school, I mean, you move it, because of Title IX, you get into, which is equal opportunity in universities. So you enter into film school with classes that are about 50-50 male and female, and when you step out of your school, I mean, 1994, Francis Ford Coppola handed me my Master of Fine Arts diploma, and he shook my hand and he said, "Good luck," and off I went. And I did get very, very lucky to get this feature film immediately based on a screenplay that I had written. I'm trying to wrap my head around this really good question, because when you come out of film school, when you come out of film school, instead of coming up through the ranks, you know, you don't know all the same people that you might know coming up through the ranks. You know, you're not in you know, a professional framework. You know, you're coming out of an academic framework from a film school. So I think that you don't make the kind of relationships that people do coming up. But again, this really doesn't apply to women, because back when I was graduating from film school, before the internet and before email, women didn't have any community. I mean, we didn't know who each other were. And I think women were really competitive with each other because we were so profoundly marginalized. So we were all trying to figure out, how do we get into this boys club industry? How do we get into this man's world? So we weren't helping each other. It's like the guys go out to bars and hang around and you know, make plans and make deals and give each other jobs, and they all kind of know each other. And the entire industry is comprised of men. And we women were, you know, kind of this, you know, little marginalized population that didn't know how to maneuver and didn't know how to, you know, even find out, you know, who was who and how to access people. And the only way that you could get access back in, you know, in the 90s and the aughts when I was coming into this was if you were repped. And if you lose your representation, you're disappeared. I mean, you're out of the castle, you're, you know, outside the walls. And then it's just as hard for you to get back in living there in Los Angeles as it is for some new kid from Hoboken or whatever, anywhere in the world, you know, can come in. And it doesn't matter how much work you do, how much experience you have. It's a game of luck. It's like who you bump into and who does you a favor. So it becomes a very isolating and lonely experience to be a woman in this industry. But now that aspect of it has kind of changed, and I think the work that I did actually helped make that change, because I was the person who took over the Women's Steering Committee Facebook site at the Directors Guild of America and began to build up a community of women and to help us all realize that we had this common problem. I think that a lot of us thought that we had just failed because we were we hadn't done a good enough job, instead of the fact that we were discriminated against, instead of the fact that the industry was failing us. And it wasn't until I really sat down in 2011 and thought, okay, it's possible that I'm not good enough. Okay, it's possible that I'm not talented enough and that I didn't deserve to have success. But it's not possible that no women are good enough. And yet that's what the numbers indicate. The numbers indicate that, you know, almost no women are good enough to become storytellers in this industry, to become directors and filmmakers. And at that point, I thought, something is very, very wrong here, and this is not in alignment with our laws, with our civil rights laws.